if the third satellite was to allow themselves to be seen, again this would interfere with the very, very delicate manipulations they are carrying on. Hence, they are invisible. What are these manipulations? Well, I'll tell you. The third satellite is there solely to send energy down to people who will use this energy in any way for the benefit of mankind. People needn't be an adept to use it. Ordinary people can use this energy. And how does it work? Well, it works according to a very strict formula. Nothing that the space people do, by the way, is haphazard, and they are great cosmic scientists. And everything they do does work to a strict formula, by the way. Now let us take a hypothetical case. Supposing Mrs. Smith hears of her friend Mrs. Jones being hurt and put in hospital. What's the first thing Mrs. Smith does if she's a decent-minded person with a spiritual outlook? She says a little prayer for Mrs. Jones. This is the first thing she does. When she says a prayer for Mrs. Jones, what is she doing? Well, she is directing a beam of energy from herself to Mrs. Jones, because that is prayer. Prayer is a way to direct energy from point A to point B through the control of thoughts. That is prayer. So she directs this beam of energy by thought control to Mrs. Jones. Let us suppose that Mrs. Smith prays for 15 minutes for Mrs. Jones, and let us suppose that in 15 minutes she directs X units of energy towards Mrs. Jones. When the third satellite is in operation, if Mrs. Smith prays for the same 15 minutes in the same room, in the same way, for the same Mrs. Jones, for the same complaint, she will not direct X units of energy towards her. She will direct 3,000 X units of energy towards her. In other words, all prayer, all healing, all teaching, all spiritual things are enhanced 3,000 times during the time that this satellite is in orbit. All spiritual activities. If any of you, and you can all use this, it's there for you to use. You're entitled to use this energy. If any of you are planning any spiritual event at all, any move of a spiritual nature, or to do with spiritual things, higher things, no matter what it may be, then try to fix that move so that it falls in the time that this satellite is orbiting round the Earth, and you will be helped greatly by unseen but nevertheless present hands to bring this move about. If you are concerned with teaching, you will be helped to teach. Healing, you will be helped to heal. Whatever it is, you will be helped. Not by a presence, not by messages, because you will not, repeat, not receive messages from the third satellite. It's closed to radiation of messages, except through one channel. This is to avoid confusion, and only to avoid confusion. But you will receive something far more vital, far more important, far more usable, far more practical in a lot of ways. That is a beam of energy. And the beam of energy put down by the third satellite is put on individuals and groups of individuals throughout the earth. And this beam, these individual beams, are the size of 1,000th part of the finest hair on your head. They are invisible beams, but they have strength to move mountains, if you have the faith to move mountains. Now you might say, well, how can the people on this satellite be sure that the energy we use will only be used for spiritual purposes? For instance, the energy in the atom is good. It's God-given energy. It's the way that mankind use it that is wrong. Then you might say, well, how can the space people be certain? I'll tell you something that you haven't been told before, unless you've heard me say it. You are known. You are known so completely that it's almost awe-inspiring. There isn't a man, woman, and child on this earth today who is not only known on this earth now, but his past life is also known, and his future lives are also known. There is a complete, absolute dossier and record on each and every one of you. There will never be any attempt to interfere with your free will, because such an attempt is against the law. But you're known. And the space people know quite completely who will use this energy properly and who will not use this energy properly. In this way, they can govern it accordingly. You can sit next door to a person and receive a beam of this energy yourself if you're doing spiritual work, and the person next door to you wouldn't even be aware of what is happening. You may not be aware of what is happening, and yet it could be happening right under their very nose. We've seen cases of it. We've proved cases of it over and over again throughout the years, because the Aetherius Society has been working on this project for years.